Let me tell you something, ladies. A good man loves a good woman. A good man wants to protect her, respect her, and do right by her. But I got to keep it real with you tonight, because sometimes the very habits you think are harmless are the exact ones pushing a man away. See, men might not say it straight up because we don't always want to start an argument. But trust me when I say there are certain things that'll make a man sit back and say, Lord, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And if you don't pay attention, that brother will slowly start to check out. Now, don't get me wrong. We know relationships ain't perfect. Nobody is flawless. But if you want a man to stay invested, committed, and excited about building a life with you, you got to recognize the habits that make us feel drained instead of motivated. So let's break this thing down, because once you know better, you can do better. And when you do better, love gets easier, stronger, and more enjoyable. Ladies, let me just be real with you for a moment. There is nothing that turns a man off quicker than feeling like he can't do anything right in your eyes. See, men are wired a little different. We move through this world fighting battles you don't even see. Work stress, financial pressure, trying to live up to expectations, trying to be a protector, a provider, a leader. When a man comes home, what he wants most is peace. He wants to walk in that door and feel like that's the one place he doesn't have to defend himself, the one place where he's not under attack. But if every time he walks and you got a list of things he didn't do, a list of things he should have done, and a list of things he ain't never going to do right, then what you're doing is stripping him of that safe space he desperately needs. Now, don't get me wrong, men need direction sometimes. We ain't always perfect. Sometimes we forget to take the trash out. Sometimes we slack on chores. Sometimes we get distracted. That's human. But when criticism becomes the soundtrack of your relationship, it's like background noise that eats at a man's spirit. You might think you're just pointing out little things to make him better. But what he hears is, you're not good enough. You never measure up. You'll never get it right. And after a while, he stops trying. Because here's the truth. Men don't keep working for failing grades. If every effort gets shut down with a complaint, he'll just stop putting in the effort. And when that happens, the whole relationship starts feeling heavy. A man thrives off encouragement. We live for those little affirmations that make us feel like kings. A baby, I appreciate you, goes a long way. A simple thank you for the small things makes us want to do more. If I wash the dishes and you say, well, you missed a spot, I'm not going to feel like washing dishes again. But if you say, I appreciate you helping out, that made my day easier, I'm going to look for the next thing I can do just to see that smile again. That's how men operate. We repeat what we get rewarded for. So when all he gets is criticism, the reward is gone and the desire fades with it. Let me tell you, men may act tough, but we're sensitive to the woman we love. Her voice matters more than any other. When she praises, we stand taller. When she criticizes, we shrink inside. And I know some of you ladies are thinking, well, Steve, I'm not trying to tear him down. I just want him to improve. I hear you, but there's a difference between constructive feedback and constant criticism. Constructive feedback says, I believe in you and I know you can do better. Constant criticism says, you'll never be enough. Which one do you think inspires him to change? A relationship is supposed to be a partnership, not a courtroom where one person is always the judge. If you spend all your energy pointing out flaws, you leave no room to celebrate the good. And men, we need that celebration. We want to feel like we're winning with you, like we're making you proud. When a man feels that, he will go to the ends of the earth to keep providing it. But if all he feels is failure, he'll withdraw, he'll get quiet, and eventually he'll stop showing up emotionally. So ladies, think about your words. Are you building him up or breaking him down? Are you making him feel like a king or a constant disappointment? Because I promise you, the way you talk to your man will shape the way he shows up for you. And if you can learn to trade in criticism for appreciation, you'll unlock a level of love and commitment that goes far beyond what you thought possible. Ladies, I'm going to be straight with you because this is one of those things men don't always say out loud, but it cuts deep when it happens. A man can handle a lot of things in a relationship, but one thing he cannot stand is being embarrassed in public by the woman he loves. See, respect is everything to a man. That's how we measure whether we're valued. And when we step out with you, when we stand next to you, we're putting our pride, our image, our dignity in your hands. So when you take a shot at us in front of other people, maybe it's a joke, maybe it's a correction, maybe it's you pointing out something we didn't do right, what you think is small can feel like a dagger in our chest. You might think you're just being playful or keeping it real. But to a man, being clowned by his woman in front of an audience is humiliating. It's one thing to talk to us at home, where it's private, where it's just between us. We can handle that. But when you make us the punchline in front of friends, family, coworkers, or even strangers, it shakes something inside us. A man will never forget how you made him feel in that moment. He may laugh it off. He may smile to save face, but inside he's shrinking. And the next time he thinks about opening up or being vulnerable with you, he'll remember that sting. Now I know some ladies are thinking, but Steve, I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to embarrass him. I just don't like when he does certain things. Honesty is fine. Nobody's saying you have to bite your tongue forever. But timing is everything. Delivery is everything. A man is not going to receive what you're saying if you strip him of respect while you're saying it. You can correct in private and still get the same point across without damaging his pride. When you do it in front of people, it doesn't come across as love. It comes across as disrespect. And let me tell you something about men. We will fight the world for our woman. We will put ourselves in danger, work ourselves to exhaustion, swallow our pride, and even take losses just to make sure she's good. But what we cannot tolerate is feeling unprotected around her. Because when a man loves you, he makes you his safe space. And in return, he wants you to be his safe space too. If he can't trust you to cover him, to shield his dignity in public, he starts pulling back. He'll stop bringing you around certain people. He'll stop talking openly in group settings. And eventually, he'll start shutting down emotionally altogether because he doesn't feel safe with you. Respect in public is like oxygen to a man. It's what makes him walk taller when he's by your side. It's what makes him proud to introduce you to his family, his boys, his colleagues. When you treat him with honor in public, even when you're frustrated with him, you give him fuel to keep trying, to keep showing up, to keep leading. But when you strip that respect away with public embarrassment, you're taking the very air out of his lungs. And let me break this down. No man is perfect. We mess up. We say dumb things. We make wrong moves. We forget stuff. We misplace stuff. But if you want him to grow, if you want him to change, you have to correct with wisdom. Pull him to the side later. Tell him how it made you feel when no one else is around. That way, he can focus on the issue and not the humiliation, because men will remember the embarrassment longer than the actual mistake. So ladies, think carefully. When you're in a public setting, ask yourself, am I protecting his dignity right now? Am I making him look good standing next to me? Because that matters more than you think. A man who feels honored in public will honor you even more in private. But a man who feels humiliated in public will never forget it, and that wound can weaken the foundation of your relationship. Ladies, let's talk about something that men find flat out exhausting in relationships, and that's jealousy and snooping. I know some of you don't want to hear this, but if you're constantly checking his phone, questioning his every move, and needing a play, by play of where he's been, you are not protecting your relationship. You're suffocating it. A man doesn't want to feel like he's on parole with the woman he loves. He wants freedom, not because he's trying to do dirt, but because freedom is what makes trust real. If every time he leaves the house you assume the worst, if every time his phone buzzes you want to know who it is, then what you're telling him is that you don't believe in him. And trust me, that message hits hard. Here's the thing about men. We value trust like currency. When a woman shows she trusts us, it makes us want to be even more trustworthy. But when we feel like we're under investigation, it pushes us in the opposite direction. Nobody likes living with suspicion hanging over their head. It makes home feel like a prison instead of a sanctuary. And a man who feels trapped eventually looks for a way out. I get it though. A lot of women act this way because they've been hurt before. Maybe your ex cheated. Maybe somebody lied to you. Maybe you've seen too much on social media and it's made you cautious. I understand that fear. But here's the truth. You cannot punish a new man for what the old man did. If you bring that baggage into a fresh relationship, constantly accusing and constantly snooping, you're not giving this man a fair chance. And what you're really doing is draining yourself, because no matter how much you check, you'll never feel satisfied until you heal that insecurity inside. Men notice these things. When you grab his phone the second he puts it down, when you scroll through his social media likes, when you interrogate him because he was 10 minutes late, he doesn't see love, he sees mistrust. And mistrust is not attractive. It makes a man feel like he can't win, no matter how loyal he is. And after a while, he'll start asking himself, why am I working so hard to prove myself if she's already decided I'm guilty? That's how good men get tired. Now let me put it another way. Think about how you'd feel if the roles were reversed. Imagine your man constantly checking your phone, questioning who you texted, showing up where you said you'd be just to make sure you were really there. You'd feel insulted, right? You'd feel like he didn't trust you, like he didn't see your character. That's exactly how men feel. The same respect you want, we want too. Trust is a two-way street. And here's a secret. Men crave peace. More than money, more than success, more than anything, we crave peace in our relationship. We want to know that when we're with you, we can relax, we can breathe, we can be ourselves without being judged every second. Jealousy destroys that peace. Snooping destroys that peace. And once peace is gone, a man starts to wonder if he can survive long-term in that environment. If you're with a man you truly can't trust, then don't stay with him. But if you're with a man who's giving you his best, who shows up for you, who proves himself loyal, then you owe him that trust. Stop competing with his phone. Stop fighting with his schedule. Stop assuming the worst. Instead, focus on building the kind of connection where he wants to share everything with you freely. That's how you win his heart for the long haul. Ladies, let me tell you something that'll wear a man down faster than anything else nagging. Now, don't get me wrong. Men understand that women have needs, that you want things done, that you want to feel heard. But the problem comes when every request turns into a repeated complaint with no end in sight. When you keep saying the same thing over and over again without a solution attached, a man doesn't hear urgency, he hears noise. And once a man starts tuning out, you lose the very effect you were aiming for. Here's how men are wired. We are problem solvers. We like fixing things. We like finding answers. So when you come to us with something, what we hear is, help me solve this. But when it comes in the form of constant nagging, you never do this, you always forget that, you're just like this or that. What it feels like is you don't believe we're capable of solving it. It's not motivating, it's deflating. It doesn't push us to act, it pushes us to retreat. I know sometimes women think, if I don't repeat myself, he'll never get it. But let me tell you, the more you nag, the less a man actually hears. The volume doesn't make the message clearer, it just makes the environment heavier. Men crave clarity. If you tell him what you need in a calm, clear way, and give him space to process, he's more likely to move. But when it comes at him like a storm every day, he learns to duck, not to build. Let me paint a picture. Say the trash is overflowing. You tell him once, he says, I'll get to it. 10 minutes later, you say it again. An hour later, you repeat it. By the third time, he's not thinking about the trash anymore. He's thinking about how you don't trust him to handle it. The actual issue becomes less important than the feeling of being nagged. And that's where the disconnect starts. What could have been solved in 5 minutes turns into an all-day tension. Ladies, I know some of you are thinking, Steve, I wouldn't have to nag if he just did what I asked the first time. Fair point. But here's the key. Change the approach. Instead of saying, you never take the trash out, try saying, baby, can you take the trash out before dinner? It'll help me a lot. You see the difference. One makes him feel attacked, the other makes him feel needed. And men love to feel needed. That simple shift turns a complaint into a request, and a request into motivation. Another thing brings solutions, not just problems. If there's something in the relationship that's bothering you, don't just say, you always do this. Instead, try saying, when this happens, it makes me feel like this. Maybe we could try it this way instead. That's constructive. That gives him direction. Men work better with direction than with criticism. And let's be real, nagging doesn't just annoy men, it makes them shut down emotionally. When a man feels like nothing he does is good enough, he'll stop trying altogether. He'll withdraw because he's tired of failing in your eyes. But when you shift from nagging to solution, focused conversations, you give him a chance to win with you. And men love to win with their woman. When we feel like we're winning, we want to keep playing. When we feel like we are always losing, we stop showing up. At the end of the day, it's about respect and communication. You can get what you want without nagging, but it takes patience, timing, and the right tone. Speak to the king in your man, not the child in him. If you make him feel respected while you make your request, he'll surprise you with how much he'll step up. Ladies, let me break something down to you that a lot of women don't realize men love to feel needed. But we don't want to feel like we are your entire world and your only source of happiness. There's a fine line between leaning on your man and depending on him for every single thing. When a woman shows no independence, when she doesn't have her own goals, her own friends, her own passions, it becomes suffocating for a man. It's like he can't breathe because now he feels responsible, not just for loving you, but for entertaining you, guiding you, and filling every empty space in your life. And that weight will eventually crush him. Understand this, a strong man loves a strong woman. He loves knowing she has her own drive and her own fire. Independence doesn't mean you don't need him. It means you've got a life that adds value to his. See, when you've got your own thing going, it makes you more attractive. It shows him that you're with him because you want him, not because you have no choice but to cling to him. Men love to be chosen, not needed out of desperation. I've seen too many relationships where the woman gives up everything the moment she gets into a commitment. She stops hanging out with her girls. She lets go of her hobbies. She stops chasing her dreams, and she just sits there waiting on the man to fill her time. At first, he might think it's sweet, like, wow, she really loves me. But give it time, and it turns into pressure, because now he feels like every move he makes has to entertain you. If he goes out with his friends, you're upset. If he focuses on work, you're upset. If he spends time on his hobbies, you're upset. Not because you're a bad person, but because you've made him your whole world. And no one can handle being someone's entire world without feeling trapped. What men really want is balance. We want to know that you've got your own life, your own joy, your own circle, because that makes the relationship stronger. When he sees you thriving on your own, it makes him want to pour into you even more. When you show him that you're capable, that you can stand tall even without leaning on him every second, it earns his respect on another level. And respect is the foundation of lasting love. Let me tell you, independence is sexy. A woman who knows who she is who's got her own goals, who can move through the world with confidence, that's magnetic. That's the kind of woman a man brags about. That's the kind of woman he feels proud to be with. Because when people see you two together, they don't just see a woman hanging on to him. They see a woman standing beside him, adding value to his life. And let's clear something up. Independence doesn't mean being cold or shutting him out. It doesn't mean acting like you don't need love or refusing to lean on him. It means you've got your own foundation and you're inviting him to build on top of it. It's about partnership, not dependency. Because when two whole people come together, the relationship flourishes. But when one person is carrying the weight for both, the relationship eventually breaks. So ladies, ask yourself, do I have my own dreams? Do I still invest in myself? Do I keep my friendships alive? Do I make time for the things that make me happy outside of him? If the answer is no, then you're setting yourself up for resentment down the line. Men fall in love with women who inspire them, and nothing is more inspiring than a woman who knows who she is. So hold on to your independence, because it's not just about you. It's about keeping the relationship healthy and exciting for the both of you. Ladies, if there's one thing that will cut a man deeper than almost anything else in a relationship, it's being compared to another man. I don't care if it's your ex, your friend's husband, your coworker, or even some guy you saw on social media. When you start putting your man side by side with somebody else, what you're really saying is, you're not enough for me. And let me tell you, no man can thrive in that kind of environment. A man wants to feel like he is your choice, your prize, your number one. The moment he feels like he's being measured against another man, his spirit starts to shrink. You might think it's harmless. Maybe you say something like, well, Sarah's husband always takes her on trips, or my ex used to do this for me, or why can't you be more like so and so? But to a man, those words are heavy. They don't motivate him. They don't inspire him. They don't push him to do better. They make him feel like he's failing, like he'll never measure up, and like no matter what he does, you'll always have your eye on someone else. And a man who feels like he can't win will eventually stop playing the game altogether. See, men are competitive by nature. We like to win. We like to feel like we're on top, especially when it comes to the woman we love. But the second you put us in competition with another man in your life, whether real or imagined, we feel disrespected. And disrespect is poison to a relationship. We want to be inspired by you, not constantly reminded of how we fall short compared to somebody else. Now, I know some of you may say, but Steve, I'm just trying to encourage him to step up. I hear that, but let me give you a little secret. Men don't respond well to comparisons. We respond to appreciation. If you want him to step up, acknowledge what he's already doing. Praise the small things. Thank him for the effort he makes. That thank you is fuel. That I appreciate you makes us want to go harder. But when you hit us with comparisons, we don't feel inspired, we feel defeated. Imagine this, you cook dinner for your man, and he looks at you and says, well, my ex used to season it better. How would that feel? Would it make you want to cook again? Or would it make you feel unappreciated and resentful? That's exactly how men feel when you compare us to somebody else. It doesn't matter if it's something small like how another guy dresses or something big like how much money he makes. Comparison always cuts. And let's talk about social media for a second. These days, people are scrolling and seeing highlight reels of other relationships, lavish gifts, vacations, picture-perfect moments. But you don't know the real story behind those posts. That same man buying his wife a diamond might not even be faithful. That couple smiling in Paris might have been fighting in the hotel room. So when you take those snapshots and use them as ammunition against your man, you're not being fair. You're asking him to live up to an illusion. A healthy relationship is about celebrating what you have, not focusing on what you don't. Every man has strengths and weaknesses. He may not take you on trips every month, but maybe he's consistent. Maybe he's loyal. Maybe he's dependable. He may not shower you with gifts every week, but maybe he's there when you need him most, steady and unshakable. When you start appreciating those things instead of comparing him to someone else, you'll start to see him give more, do more, and love harder. Because men grow in the soil of respect and gratitude, not in the shadow of comparison. So ladies, hear me loud and clear. Stop comparing your man. Stop dragging his name next to another man's. Stop holding him to somebody else's highlight reel. Build him up for who he is, and you'll be surprised at how much more he becomes for you. Because a man who feels chosen and respected will fight every day to keep being your number one.